Okay, so we're diving deep today into the world of web content acceleration.
That's exciting.
It is. You've given us this report, and it's a pretty in-depth comparison of some major tools. Varnish Cache,
Hmm.
Apache Traffic Server, Squid Cache,
Yeah, a lot to unpack there.
definitely. So our mission today is to really get to the heart of how these technologies, actually work and why they're so crucial for web performance today, you know?
Right, because, I mean, nobody wants to wait for a website to load anymore.
No. It's like instant gratification is the name of the game.
Yeah,
A slow website, forget about it. People are gone.
absolutely. Every fraction of a second counts. And these caching technologies, they're really the unsung heroes making that snappy experience possible.
They are. So let's take a trip back in time a little bit. Varnish Cache first popped up around 2006, and its origin story is pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, came out of this kind of desperate need. A Norwegian newspaper was getting absolutely slammed with online traffic. I mean, try to imagine 45 million page views every week. Yeah, on just 12 servers. So clearly, they needed something faster, more robust than what was out there. And that's how Varnish was born. Super focused on making HTTP faster. Even the name. It's kind of quirky. Came from an art poster, apparently.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So born out of necessity. Apache Traffic Server, on the other hand, it had a different kind of start.
Right.
More of a corporate beginning. It was originally a commercial product from a company called Inktomi.
Hmm.
And then it really took off when Yahoo started using it. We're talking serious scale here. They were serving like 30 billion objects a day with it. Then in 2009, Yahoo actually donated the whole thing to the Apache Foundation. Became a top-level project a year later.
So open source now, that's
Yeah.
huge for development and adoption.
Exactly. And the whole design philosophy with the Apache Traffic Server, it was all about speed and scalability from the get-go and making it very adaptable, able to work with all the new web standards.
Okay, and then we have Squid Cache, which, it's been around the block a few times.
It's the veteran of the bunch.
It is. Started out, in a university setting, actually,
Oh.
and got officially christened Squid back in 1996. So, a lot older than the other two. And its goals initially were, I guess, broader, you could say. It wasn't just about speed. It was also about reducing bandwidth usage
Right.
and, implementing access control.
Right. So more about efficiency and security, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It even supported those old protocols, like Gopher.
Ah, the good old days.
Right. So each of these, came about to tackle, I guess, the growing pains of the internet in their own way.
Right. Different solutions for different stages of the web's evolution.
Exactly. Now, if we look at, like, the guts of these technologies, Varnish Cache, well, it's all about in-memory caching. So it's keeping the most commonly requested website components in super fast memory for lightning fast delivery. And one of its key features is this thing called Varnish Configuration Language, or VCL.
Ah, yes, VCL. That gives you a lot of fine-grained control over how the caching works.
Yeah, it's all about setting up very specific caching rules and policies. And
Ah.
Varnish is built with a multi-threaded architecture to handle a lot of requests all at the same time.
And Apache Traffic Server, it takes a more hybrid approach, blends event-driven and multi-threaded models. So it can handle, those sudden bursts of traffic and still maintain high performance.
Right. It's got this multi-layered caching system. It uses RAM, but also has the option to cache on disk, too.
Yeah, it gives you some flexibility there. And then Squid's interesting. It runs as a single process, but it's non-blocking, so it can handle multiple requests without getting bogged down.
Okay, so it's efficient with its resources.
Yeah,
And I guess this all plays into how they perform in the real world.
exactly. So with Varnish, you get incredible speed, but that in-memory focus means you're limited by, well, how much memory you've got.
Right, so there's a trade-off there.
Yeah. Then you've got ATS, which is a real workhorse, built for massive scale and handling a ton of requests per second. But it can be, let's just say, a bit more involved to configure.
It's powerful, but maybe not for the faint of heart.
Right. And then there's Squid. Very versatile. You can use it in a bunch of different ways. But it might not be the absolute speed demon that Varnish or ATS can be. And, historically, it's had its share of security vulnerabilities.
Okay, so each has its strengths and weaknesses.
Mhm.
It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly. So you often see Varnish used for, websites that are really content heavy or e-commerce sites, places where you need to handle a lot of traffic quickly.
Makes sense.
And then ATS, it's often the engine behind those huge content delivery networks or CDNs.
Right, those are the systems that make sure content is delivered fast no matter where you are in the world.
Exactly. And Squid, it's often used in like corporate networks or ISPs, places where you need to manage bandwidth and control access.
Okay, so deployment really varies depending on the specific needs.
Yeah, it all comes back to that. Now, even how you configure these tools reflects their underlying philosophies. Varnish, it uses its own VCL, which is powerful, but yeah, there's a learning curve there.
You got to speak the language.
Right. ATS uses multiple config files, gives you very granular control, but it can get complex. And then you've got Squid with its single massive configuration file.
So different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. And of course, these technologies haven't just stayed still. They've been evolving over time.
They've had to, right? The web keeps changing.
Absolutely. All three of them have added features, to keep up with things like HTTP2 and persistent storage and all that.
Right, staying relevant in a fast-paced world. But, as with anything, there are some inherent trade-offs. Varnish, for example, it's super fast, but relying heavily on memory can be limiting in some situations.
Yeah. And then there's ATS, which can be powerful, but it's configuration. Let's just say it requires some dedication.
A deep dive indeed.
Right. And Squid, well, those security vulnerabilities in older versions, they're a concern. And you have to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. So looking forward, what do you see on the horizon for this whole world of content delivery?
Oh, it's getting really interesting. We're starting to see things like AI and machine learning being used to make caching even smarter. And the rise of edge computing is changing the landscape too.
Right, pushing content closer to the user. So
Yep.
in a nutshell, you've got Varnish for raw speed, ATS for handling massive scale, and Squid for its flexibility and utility. But the web is always evolving, and these tools need to keep pace.
Definitely. It makes you wonder, though, beyond just faster delivery, what's the next big leap? Will it be about smarter delivery, more secure delivery, truly personalized experiences? That's something to ponder.
It is a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.